Hi, I'm Tom from the Simoniz Garage. Today we're going to show the express wax process. First step is going to be blowing out all of the weep areas, all the places where the water sits after you wash the car. Okay? All the cracks and crevices and seams, etc. Now, all of our processes at Simoniz are going to start in the front driver's side of the car. All right? What that is it gives us a starting point. All right? We always do more than half. Okay, so we're going to do 60% of the car. You're going to hear me say that a lot throughout all of these videos. So, for instance, what that means is, let's say, just take the analogy of washing a window. If I wash the window from this side and I only do half, and then Nico washed it from that side and only did half, we're going to be left with a widow's peak up here. But if I reach more than half and he reaches more than half, we have overlapping motions. Nothing will ever get missed. It's the same exact premise with waxing the car. So what happens is I'm going to start every service front driver's side of the car. If you have the luxury of two people, it's great to have the other person work in the back rear passenger side of the car. What happens there? He gets to go 60%, I get to go 60%. We're not bumping into each other. The cars fly, okay? But if it is just one person working, and I'll demonstrate right now by myself, blowing out the weep areas, it's starting at the front driver's side, reaching more than half. I'll start on the hood here, go down to the front grille, around the headlights, etc. All right, I'm going to work my way along the fender, up the A-pillar, anywhere in the roof, down the sail panel, around the door, work my way around, doing the exact same thing around the entire car. Okay, so basically every exterior process is going to be done this way, but I'm going to demonstrate wax now. Now, when we're blowing out, like I said, the first step of the process, blowing out the weep areas, you're going to want to have a secondary towel for when you blow out all that water. Now, you can see how I'm keeping the hose around my body so as to not let it hit the car. As we get to the side view mirrors, you can have about 60 to 90 pounds of pressure depending on how you're set up. You want to make sure you don't let it get caught behind any of the actual mirror housing here, so that because it can pop the mirror right off. So what we want to do is we want to take our finger and put it right in the center of the mirror and blow around. Now, at this point, what we want to do is make sure that in our wash process, we were able to get rid of all the tar, all the bugs, etc., sap, things like that. Keep in mind, once we put wax on here, we're really sealing it in. So we want to make sure that we get, the whole car clean. So what we want to do is just inspect it. I got a little bit of tar right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a product, a solvent, in this case multi-solve, which is nice and safe for after the wash process to get any of these areas. So I have a little bit of tar right down here. It's very common. So all we got to do is put a little bit of that product on. Avoiding decals, things like this. We don't want to get that, as it would actually remove the adhesive, but we just want to get the tar, any of the tar buildup. Now, got the tar off. There's a couple of nicks down there, but tar is off. So, just continue to look, make sure we have everything else. Oh, got a little bit more there. And now, we're ready to apply the wax. Now, the key to applying wax is a nice, even pressure, even application of wax. So you want to have a nice thin layer, overlapping. You don't want to have areas missed, etc. And you want to have a nice thin layer. It's really the wax that actually hits the paint is what's going to adhere. So you can keep putting wax and wax and wax on, glob it on there, but all that is going to make your life harder. You're going to end up taking more time trying to remove it, and you're not going to end up liking the wax if that's the case. So you want to use really just a pinwheel, really, if you're doing it, if you're applying it to a pad or a bonnet, and I'll demonstrate that. But really, what you want to do, if you have to apply by hand, is really concentrate on that. You want to make sure that when you're applying it, on a wax pad, that you're putting even pressure, so that the pressure over here where you're reaching and the pressure right in front of you is the same. You want to make sure that as you're applying it, you're not putting a lot of it on and then going here and then really going nice and real thin over here and real heavy over here. It's going to make your life harder. Okay? It's going to take longer to haze in those areas as the solvent has to evaporate, so on and so forth. So the key is, once again, even application. So as we've evolved, there are machines that mimic hand motion. All right? Now, there's quite a few of them. These are called orbital machines. All right? We sell a product called the Cyclo, also an orbital. You can apply wax with it. It's also a polisher. It's a dual action. You have dual action polishers as well, in the DeWalt's that we sell, a gear-driven in the Flex, another dual action, which is a larger throw in products such as the Roops, etc. Now, this is a gem polisher, and I'm going to apply one side of the car with this, and Nico's actually going to demonstrate with the Flex on how to apply to the other side. And what they do is they're both really going to polish. Now, the weight of this one is what makes sure that it's an even application. And we have an 11-inch drive pad here. So what that does is it makes sure that we're covering more area. So you're not just worrying about a pressure point with your fingertips, you're actually working with an entire drive pad. Now we have a 6-inch pad on the Flex there. It's going to do the exact same thing. The technique's different. Because I have an 11-inch drive pad on this, I can apply it to larger surfaces such as the hood much quicker than Nico will be able to with that 6-inch pad. But the thing about having this is that I can't get into some of these other areas. Okay? These are what I'm going to end up calling cut-in areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to take the time to try to maneuver this or, I can't put it on places like this because it'll actually break this right off. So what I'm going to do is apply it to the majority that I can and come back and hit the cut-in areas. You'll see I'm going to actually remove the bonnet to get those cut-in areas. Now Nico's going to have a much better time at getting into those cut-in areas. He might have one or two, and that's easy. He can either take that pad off and use it as an applicator, or even just use a secondary wax applicator to get them. So what we're going to do is just show a couple different types of cream waxes. Nico will use Banana Express, and I'm going to use New Shine. Now the key is to start off on a flat surface. Nico's going to start off in the rear passenger side of the car. He's going to want to start on the trunk lid. I'm going to start on the hood here. Now, the reason I say that is I want to get the product, when I apply it, I'm going to apply it to the bonnet, but I want to make sure that I don't pull it across the seam and really cake in and spend more, basically cause myself to spend more time trying to remove all this wax residue later on. So what I want to do is get it nice and thin and even out and spread and really into the bonnet before I then move on to some of these other areas and across seams. And Nico's going to do the same on the other side. Now, what he's going to do is basically going to mimic what I do on this. So what we want to do is use all the surface area that we have to work with. So if I start in the front and work my way out, I can then take this and apply using the entire machine. I'm not just applying with a small amount. I'm using the entire drive pad. So what happens now? Once again, we start front driver's side of the car. He's going to start in the rear passenger. And we're going to run through. All right? Cords over your shoulder. We want to make sure it's not banging into the car. We don't want to scratch the car. All right? So we turn it on, like I said. Working our way in the middle here, 60%. Back and forth. Side to side. What I do is, when I get over to the fender and on the side of the vehicle, you'll see I drop the cord. And what I'm doing is, I'm just holding it up and putting that even pressure along the side. As we get back up, I can wax the glass too. Now, with the product I have right now, it's actually a polymer. And it has some light abrasive, so I'm polishing at the same time. But if I had a carnauba-based product, especially, I really want to avoid unpainted molding and trim so I don't turn them white with residue later on. So now we take the bonnet. And I have a little bit on there. I might put a little bit more just for good measure. And all I'm going to do now is run through and I'll get his as well while we're at it. And I have the flare at the bottom there. So, at this point, wax is on. We have to make sure that it's ready to go. So, we look for a haze. All right? If you focus in over on this side, on his product there, you can see that it's nice, starting to chalk up. This side, it's tough with the white, but I'm not sure if you can see that. You just use a finger swipe, and it's ready to come off, okay? So this side, once again, it's a nice thin application. It's ready to go. It's hazed. By the time we're finished, we use 2 towels. Fold them up. The reason we fold them, number one, so they're not sloppy. Let's say the tire was dressed. All right? Whether you're going through an automatic tunnel and it dresses the tires automatically before you even had a chance to wax, or for whatever reason. Let's say the tires have anything on them. If I'm like this, and I go to wipe the fender, I'm going to be picking up anything that's on those tires. So I want to avoid that. So I can actually keep control of it if it's folded. The other thing about it, let's say I pick up some water. For whatever reason, we just missed some. I can just quickly take it, fold it, have another clean surface area to work with. All right? So take my hands, put them on the towels, and I start to work. Same exact method as application. Now I can take it off with the bonnet and the machine and then go back and make sure that I got in all the cut-in areas again. I technically prefer just to do it once. But I understand if other people disagree and like to use the machine to take it off. All right. So the next step, clean the windows, dress the tires. So what we'll do is, I'm going to start with dressing the tires. We'll demonstrate right here. There's obviously many different types of tire dressings, solvent-based, water-based, so on and so forth. We want to make sure the tires are clean. So just want to go through. There's a little bit of residue here that got missed in the wash process. So usually you can just take a little glass and multi-surface, something like that. You just want to break that up. You want to make sure the dressing adheres to the best of its ability. Once again, a clean, dry tire will make tire dressing last the longest. So I'm going to use a product right now called Resonate, solvent-based tire dressing. And this is the pad method. Basically what we do is we take 3 passes along the outer edge, along the rim, and then we blend it all together in the center. Now what this is doing, by applying it with a pad, we're minimizing the excess product, the stuff that will actually sling all over the car. All right? And it's a nice, quick, easy motion. The more you practice it, the faster you get. So take other types of products such as aerosol wheel cleaners, like our Nitro Shine, and it's just a quick spray, evenly applied. Once again, thin. We don't want to go too heavy. We don't want the car to wear this stuff afterwards. So what I can do now is take a towel and just touch up the rim. Any of the overspray from an aerosol, you really want to, any tire shine you spray, you want to make sure you touch up the rim. That's another good sales point about the actual tire pad, is that you don't have to worry about cleaning up the rim afterwards. So at this point, we're up to the glass. There's a few different products to choose from. Glass and multi-surface, just a window concentrate. What we do is the box method. He's going to start in the rear passenger side of the car. I'm going to reach 60% here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a border, okay? And then I'm going to fill it in. Same thing is true here. Now, I personally think inside and out should be done. So that's the way I'm going to show you. One of the most commonly missed areas and details are the top of the glass. We're lucky here. This doesn't have a frame around it, so we can actually just pop the door open to be able to get it. A lot of cars, you're actually going to need to get the keys, drop them down a little bit, do the outside rim first, then obviously put the windows up and go from there. But like I said, we're lucky in this capacity, so we'll just start. Okay, that box method again. You're just going to move it in, flip the towel. One more time, fill it in. Crystal clear. To recap, car's washed. We come through, blowgun. We remove all the weep area water. We then basically inspect the vehicle, make sure that bugs, tar, things like that, sap, are removed. We then apply a thin coat of wax. We let that wax haze. We remove it, dress the tires, clean the windows. It's out the door.